The hospital doors slid open, and chaos followed. A man in a faded blue jacket sprinted inside, clutching a tiny, limp body in his arms. "Please, someone help her," he cried, his voice breaking, echoing through the sterile hallway. Nurses rushed toward him, the child's pale face pressed against his chest. But as the single dad looked down, something inside him shattered, not just from fear, but from what he suddenly noticed around the little girl's neck, something that shouldn't have been there. And that discovery would change everything he thought he knew about life, love, and second chances. If this story touched your heart, show your love, like, share, and comment your thoughts. Ethan Miller had always told himself that he was doing his best. Since his wife, Laura, passed away 3 years ago, his world had been reduced to one purpose, his daughter, Lily. She was 8, bright, and had her mother's brown eyes that always seemed to carry light, even on the darkest days. Ethan worked long shifts as an auto mechanic in a small town just outside Boston, his hands always bruised, his shirt always smelling faintly of oil. But when he'd come home, and Lily would run into his arms shouting, "Daddy," it all seemed worth it. That Friday had started like any other. The sun was warm, Lily had drawn a picture for her dad's lunchbox, and Ethan had promised to take her for ice cream after work. She waited for him at Mrs. Hampton's apartment downstairs, an elderly widow who often watched Lily while Ethan worked late. Everything felt normal, even peaceful. Until the call came. Ethan was under a car, tightening a bolt, when his phone buzzed violently. "Mr. Miller, it's Mrs. Hampton," came the shaky voice on the other end. "Lily, she fainted outside. I called an ambulance. They're taking her to St. Mary's." His wrench clattered to the floor. Time stopped. Ethan didn't even grab his wallet. He just ran. By the time he reached St. Mary's Hospital, he could barely breathe. His heart hammered against his ribs as he rushed through the automatic doors, shouting for help, clutching his unconscious daughter. A nurse guided him toward a stretcher, and Lily was taken away in a blur of white coats and beeping machines. "Sir, please wait here," said a young doctor, placing a gentle hand on Ethan's shoulder. "Is she going to be okay?" "She just collapsed, she was fine this morning." Ethan's voice cracked. "We'll do everything we can," the doctor assured before disappearing into the emergency room. Ethan slumped into a chair, his greasy hands trembling. He stared at the floor tiles, his mind replaying every smile, every laugh, every bedtime story. Then something caught his eye, a small silver necklace that Lily always wore. But as he looked closer, he realized it wasn't the one he'd given her. The locket dangling from her neck wasn't hers at all. It was old, scratched, and when he opened it, his breath hitched. Inside was a photo of a woman he didn't recognize, and next to her, a baby that looked eerily like Lily. He froze. His chest tightened. What was this? Just then, the doctor returned. "Mr. Miller, your daughter's stable for now. But her oxygen levels dropped drastically. We need to run more tests." "Has she had any history of respiratory issues?" "No, never." "She's always been healthy," Ethan replied, confused and panicked. "Doctor, please, whatever it takes. I'll find the money." The doctor nodded. "We'll take good care of her." Hours passed. Ethan sat beside Lily's bed in the pediatric ward, holding her tiny hand. Her skin felt cold, her face pale. The machines around her hummed softly, a cruel reminder of how fragile she was. He kept staring at that mysterious locket. Just then, a soft knock came from the door. A woman in her late 30s entered, tall, graceful, with tired eyes that spoke of pain. "I'm sorry to intrude," she said quietly. "I heard a little girl was brought in wearing a silver locket. May I see her?" Ethan frowned. "Who are you?" "My name is Grace Thompson," she replied, clutching her bag nervously. "That necklace, it was my daughter's." Ethan blinked. "Your daughter's?" Grace nodded, tears brimming in her eyes. She passed away 4 years ago in a car accident. That locket was buried with her." I don't understand how your little girl has it." Ethan's head spun. "That's impossible." "My daughter's never," he stopped mid-sentence, remembering something. A week ago, Lily had come home excited, saying she'd found a pretty necklace near the park's old fountain. He hadn't thought much of it. Grace stared at the unconscious child, covering her mouth as tears fell. She looks so much like my Emma, she whispered. Ethan's heart clenched. Her name's Lily, he said softly. There was silence, just the sound of beeping monitors and distant footsteps. Grace turned to him. I'm sorry if this seems strange, but may I sit for a moment? Ethan nodded hesitantly. Grace sat beside Lily and gently brushed the girl's hair back. My Emma loved helping people, she murmured. She always said she wanted to be a doctor one day, to save children. Maybe she's still doing that somehow. Ethan looked away, fighting tears. She's all I have left. I can't lose her. Grace squeezed his hand gently. You won't. Sometimes, miracles wear small faces. Hours later, the doctor returned with a serious expression. Mr. Miller, we found something. Lily's blood work shows exposure to toxic mold, possibly from your home's basement or air vents. That's what caused the collapse. We can treat it, but she'll need to stay here a few days. Ethan's heart sank. Their apartment was old, damp, and cheap, the only place he could afford. He felt guilt tear through him. Grace overheard and stepped forward. Doctor, please make sure she gets everything she needs. I'll cover the expenses. Ethan stared in disbelief. No, you don't have to. I want to, Grace interrupted gently. For my Emma. She'd want me to. Tears filled Ethan's eyes. Thank you, he whispered, his voice breaking. For the next few days, Grace visited often. She brought Lily little gifts, told her stories, even held her hand when Ethan needed rest. It was as if some invisible bond had formed between them, two souls connected through pain and fate. When Lily finally woke up, her first words were weak but clear, Daddy, who's the nice lady? Grace smiled softly. Just someone who believes in angels, sweetheart. A week later, Lily was discharged. Grace stood with them outside the hospital, tears glistening. She's going to be okay, the doctor said. But make sure your home is inspected before you go back. Ethan nodded. I will. Grace hugged Lily tightly. You remind me so much of my little girl, she whispered. Lily smiled. Maybe she sent me to make you smile again. Grace's eyes filled with tears. Maybe she did. Before leaving, Grace handed Ethan the silver locket. She should keep it, she said. It brought her to me once. Maybe it'll keep protecting her. Ethan looked down at the small piece of metal that had started it all, an old keepsake, a lost soul's whisper, a thread between two broken hearts. That night, as he tucked Lily into bed, he whispered, Thank you, Laura, and maybe, thank you, Emma too. He kissed his daughter's forehead, realizing that life had a strange way of mending what grief had torn apart, not always with answers, but with people who cared enough to stay. Sometimes, miracles don't arrive with wings, they come through strangers who choose kindness, through pain that leads to healing, and through love that refuses to fade, even after loss.